What is up, guys? It's Jason with Higher Density Living. Guess what? Alex is away. He is back home for the holidays with his family. So when the cat is away, the mice will play. So we're going to play today on this episode. I have a podcast. It's called ABQ Business Podcast. And I had a reading done for my past lives and also a numerology with numbers, my numbers. And we did it live on video with the CrystalGuy. So I'd encourage you, go to YouTube right now, type in the CrystalGuy, and you'll see him on there. Subscribe. He goes into detail with crystals, but he's also a numerologist and he reads past lives, and you can get a reading through Zoom or whatever with him. But he was live here in the studio, and you can look at the videos. If you just type in Jason Rigby on YouTube, you can see those videos. Or if you just want to listen to an audio format like it is now, then I encourage you to just listen ahead. It's about 50 minutes, and he's going to go into numerology and explain a little bit exactly what past lives I had and the cards that I picked. And it is very accurate, and I was shocked. And you guys will hear me and see that. I also get pretty intimate in the way that I have been feeling and some of the things that have happened in my life. So it'll be a good way to get to know me, why the cat's away, Mr. Alex. So here is ABQ Business Podcast and my personal.
This is the ABQ Business Podcast
with your host, Jason Rigby.
Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit
That's in every entrepreneur.
discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
We got dancing going on.
Yes,
that's awesome.
I'm loving that intro.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Over here.
So today is an interesting show, and I love it. I've been looking forward to this. We've been going back and forth on schedules, so we're finally together. We're here. This is going to be awesome. I'm getting a. Would you call it you would call it a reading, right? So it's numerology, and we're going to do cards.
Yep. So it's a past life reading, and I'm a numerologist, and any type of reading that I do, if it's tarot, past life, archangels, spirit animals, any type of reading, I always start with the numbers.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Perfect. And so let's get a little bit into you. You're the CrystalGuy, and you have a YouTube channel, and I encourage everybody to go to it and subscribe. I went on there and looked at, what's the black, you had a whole show on the black.
Shungite?
Maybe it was.
That's or was EMF it blocker?
Yeah, the EMF blocker. Yeah, that one was really good.
Thank you.
And then you have your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Yeah, my Instagram is at the CrystalGuy 23.
Oh, at the CrystalGuy 23.
23.
No reference to I collect Jordans in there.
Oh, so. No. That's just the number that's followed me around my whole life.
23, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What does 23 mean?
You know, it's really interesting. Well, it adds up to 5. So it has the numeric energies of 5.
Right.
23 is a very interesting number. I remember back when I was in high school, this number was following me everywhere. Looking at the clock, 23, everything's 23. Even when I was in elementary school, my school number was always 23. I was like, what's with 23? So I remember when Google first came out, I was like, what's 23? So I Googled it, and there was this book called The Illuminati that came out.
Right, yes.
And they had a whole chapter about 23 and how it's a very magical and sacred number.
Right.
And there's even a group of people that call themselves the 2030ans.
Wow.
And they follow the energetic properties of the number. And then Jim Carrey makes a movie called The Number 23.
Right.
When I was in college, and I was at NYU, and when the movie came out, I got to my dorm room and I opened up the blinds, and all of a sudden it's Jim Carrey's face on the building across from the window with the number 23 etched all in his face.
Oh, so that was just like a sign.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And in the movie, the number follows him everywhere. So
that's so cool.
To be honest with you, I haven't really gotten to the bottom of it fully.
Right.
Different people have different opinions, but
right. Yeah, no, that, I mean, because I always think like when you see things, you know, especially and we're going to get into this, but especially when you get into numbers.
Yes.
So, you know, like some people see 1111 all the time, and then all of a sudden they're, you know, you're able to see that on the clock.
Yes.
You know, what do you think when you look at numbers? What are some of the things that people are maybe don't realize or are missing out with the importance of them?
Yeah. Well, I think most people have experiences with this, like what you're saying is seeing 1111, 222, 333, 444. So there's like the number 23.
Right.
There's different opinions as to why these occurrences happen. ultimately, I think it's a very personal thing. I think it's messages coming through from the universe, so to speak. And I think the most important thing is starting simple and looking at the frequency of these things, like, and just to start to notice. And then I think it's also important too to notice what you're doing during that time and what you're thinking about during that time. And then as you start to take a step back and just start paying attention more as these things happen, then you can start to put the pieces together, put the puzzle together.
Right.
Because I think the most important thing about this stuff is that it's a very personal thing. And it's any type of synchronicities that occur, like that's a weird things that you can't explain.
Right.
Some people will refer to it as serendipity.
Right.
But in the more metaphysical world, we refer to it as synchronicities. And basically there's just no denying that something's going on here.
Right.
So I think that's the most important thing to figure out. And then working backwards from there, you could do some research as to what like 333 might mean specifically, and then start to like have it make sense for yourself.
No, that makes sense. I like that you said it's very personal, because you get these websites and they just make it all generic.
Yeah.
And you don't know, there's certain things that are happening in your life at certain times, I would imagine.
Yep.
And then these numbers are coming from the universe in a certain way. So that would have to be real specific. So what I know we're going to get into my reading here with numbers, but what are kind of some of the things that when you start a reading, or some of the things that you share with people when you go through this process in the beginning before we start?
Yeah. Well, I definitely, especially with numbers, I like to give a little bit of a backstory,
Right.
Especially if people seem like they'd be interested in it. So the numerology is really interesting because it was brought to the mainstream by Pythagoras in ancient Greece.
Right.
And what's cool is about Pythagoras is he traveled the world and he studied with the ancient mystery schools. So the Babylonian mystery school, the Chaldean mystery school, a bunch of them. And the big one he really wanted to get into and finally was allowed in was the Egyptian mystery school, the ancient Egyptian, led by the priest caste.
Right.
So basically, Pythagoras went all around and he learned all this knowledge, and then he went back to Greece and started a school. Well, the fundamental course at that school was numerology. And it's
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's studying the energetic qualities
Right.
of the numbers. That's what numerology is how those energies can relate also to the personality. So it's kind of like astrology, and it's very much like when you look up online about numerology, a lot of times it'll be like astrology.com talking about numerology. So the two are very intertwined. I like to do the birth date numbers at the beginning of each reading,
Right.
because it allows you to just get a lot of information really quickly. It's instead of running the whole chart with the horoscope and the
Right.
geometry with like the quincunxes and all these things that you could do.
Right.
Well, you could just do the numbers really quickly, and I'll show you. It takes no time at all.
Right.
And the thing about it is I like to teach people how to do this too, because it's really helpful to look at your numbers and your energetic qualities and your energetic signature and what lessons you're really put on this earth in this life to learn from. Like things will come, certain things will
Right.
come up for you to have to go through and learn those lessons.
Right.
And then once you learn how to run them too, it makes a little bit more sense for you. You can start running your family's numbers, your friends' numbers,
Oh,
your
that's so cool.
girlfriend's numbers, or
Right,
whatever,
right.
what have you.
Right.
And you can start to see, where are they coming from? And what that does ultimately is just helps to give you some understanding, and it allows you to be a little bit more compassionate for you and them, and
Right.
kind of just figuring it out.
Yeah, it just creates more self-awareness.
Self-awareness, exactly.
Right.
And so what's cool about that leading into past lives is I've been doing a lot of these readings now, and what's really cool is it starts to become a bit of a language. Your numbers that you're working with, the energetic qualities of those, mixed with certain archetypes, if you will, of past life things, and then the thing about it is we live so many past lives,
Right.
Depending on who you ask, it could be hundreds, it could be thousands, but it's a lot, and
Right.
ultimately you're not going to be able to handle all of that
Yes.
information in, and so there are certain past lives that are affecting this life more strongly.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So when you look at the numbers,
Right.
you can start to connect the dots, and things will start to some congruencies will start to occur.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's really cool from my position is reading lots of different people is then you start to see the parallels that people have.
Yeah.
So
You start seeing patterns and stuff like that.
certain numbers like Alex, who is your co-host on your other channel, he has a very specific energetic signature that whenever those numbers happen, they have very powerful hands. So this is very much like Reiki healing energy, even just on a more basic level. Even when they give people massages, neck massages, they'll just be extra healing. So they're very healing hands. And I said that to Alex, and he's freaking out because he's like, every psychic type person I've ever been to tells me that I should do Reiki, and and they're not doing his numbers. I just saw that by looking at his numbers, but it was that this happens all the time. And I've read other people with his numbers, and they are either Reiki practitioners, or they're in school to be Reiki, or they've always wanted to do it. So,
that's interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
So it's cool.
I love it. Yeah. So let's get into this. I think it would be a lot of fun. And so just kind of guide me whatever direction you want me to go, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Yeah. So we'll start with your birthday, if I can get that.
Yeah, it's 07
07
09
09
of 1973.
1973. No. All right. So I'm just going to do some quick math here. So you were born on the 9th, so your personality number is a 9. You either add up, but if it's a single digit, you leave it alone. So your personality is a 9, and then the attitude number is your day and your month combined. So 7 plus 9 equals 16, and then 1 plus 6 is 7. So you're working a 7 attitude.
Okay.
And
I have about a 7 in my attitude.
Yeah, but you're about a 7 on your attitude.
I hate when people use 7s. It's
Do you really?
No, everybody uses 7. It's like, what do you think you are? Well, like 1 to 10. Everybody picks 7 for everything.
It's like so safe, right?
So I always tell people 1 to 10 on this, whatever it may be, but you can't use 7. And then they're like a 6 or 8. I don't know, because it makes it more. You know what I mean? So
you got to stop resisting the 7 there.
I know. Yes.
And that's funny. We'll talk about that too.
Oh,
that's
perfect.
Funny that you're telling people that. So it's then for the life path number is the big number. So according to Pythagoras, this is the big number that all throughout your whole life you're really working on learning these lessons. So 7 plus 9, and you just add them up all the straight across. So 7 plus 9.
Do we need a calculator?
I got it. This is 36. All right. And so look, so all these added up to the number 36.
Right.
And then you add 3 plus 6 equals 9.
Okay.
Which is actually my same life path number. And then it's even a 369 because there's different building blocks you can get to the number.
Okay.
So even these numbers tell you something.
369.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So first thing we want to look at is the life path number 9.
Right.
So this is the number of the old soul.
The
old soul. So this is the number 2 that when you're growing up in your family, you have an extra little wisdom that you're working with here.
Right.
So with the 9 energies, it's really important for them in their family dynamic early on in the years. So they're really bringing in a lot of wisdom and knowledge, especially from past lives. The 9. So in numerology, you always reduce the numbers down 1 through 9.
Okay.
Unless it's a master number, but we're not working with that here, so I won't talk about that. But basically, 1 through 9 is what you're looking at. 9 is the last number before you start back at 1. So 9 is a very much, it's on the end of the spectrum before you start back at 0. What's also really cool about 9, like how we added the 9 plus the 7 equals 16, right? Mm-hmm. And then 1 plus 6 equals back to 7.
Right.
So the 9, in terms of personality, has a really great ability to work with the energy that people are working with and give it back to them. So this is a very charismatic number too. Right. So this is very, like when you're doing interviews and things like that, you're able to pick up on the people's energies and meet them at that level.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really cool. I mean, that's a big time gift.
Right.
It's also too, your personality number, so you're born on the 9th.
Right.
So that you're also working a 9 in that instance. I have a 9 in that same position too. So far, out of the 4 numbers that we're looking at, I have the same numbers. So that's really
funny.
interesting. Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah.
This will be an easy reading for you.
Yeah, actually, it really, it really is. I could go on for hours.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
So like I said, it's that old soul energy, and it's being that light for your family and for your friends. The most important thing for the 9 is honesty through integrity.
Yeah.
So you're going to be challenged with being honest.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that is something that's really important for you to work through
Right.
and to figure out. And it could be even tiny little things the thing.
Yeah, it's funny how you have polarity there because you have the charisma and then you have the integrity.
Yeah.
So you can use charisma. I mean, I've known this, I'm 47, so I've gone through all kinds of bullshit in my life. But you can use this is just really interesting. I love this because I can use my charisma to manipulate. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, and not and not be honest and have integrity.
Yes.
So probably salespeople,
Yes.
that are like that are probably this.
Absolutely. Well, the thing with the 9, and especially because you're working in 2 positions, is you could be at a store, you could be somewhere, and people come up to you as if you work at that store, you manage that store.
Right, right,
It's this
yes.
very much of this like leadership type
Right.
of charisma that
Yes.
we're talking about.
Yeah, that's so far that sounds 100%.
Yeah. Now the thing about that on a like I should say on a less positive side or less balanced side of things, what that can lead to, coming from that old soul and bringing that wisdom in, is it can lead to very high standards. And like we're talking about with the honesty, integrity type stuff, when you feel like you're not fully in your integrity, it's it's like a total beat yourself up. Like
Right.
you're always going to be harder on yourself than anyone is going to be
of
on
course,
you.
yeah,
And you're
yeah.
going to hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else ever will. So for you, I would definitely recommend like going easier on yourself and trying to recognize the wins and accomplishments that you've achieved.
Right.
As well as looking ahead to the future on how it can be better, how you can be better.
So like, I mean, cause you know this personally, right? Cause we
Yes.
have the same numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
So what like handling, because we are so hard on ourselves, handling major setbacks.
Well, that's like what I said is try to pat yourself on the back.
Right.
And not beat yourself up. And the thing about it is once you have this knowledge, once you have the insight on yourself, you can start to see when it creeps up, like those days when I feel like I can't ever do enough, like I'm not
Right.
accomplishing enough.
Right.
Or on days when I felt like I made a big mistake and I'm letting people down. See, that's the thing, a lot of where this is coming from too with the 9, and it'll help. I think it'll be helpful for you also to understand this, is that why we beat ourselves up is because we are that old soul example for people.
Right.
And it's our family and it's our friends, and they look up to us, and we don't even if we're not fully conscious of it, it's very much present. And it's really important as part of our life path is to be that really integritous and honest type of a person.
Right.
So when we let ourselves down, we also are feeling a burden of letting the people around us down because
we're externalizing that
Yes.
feeling inside, and then thinking that those people are feeling that too.
yeah.
So we're like allowing our. I'm thinking of it in a different way, but we're allowing our ego to take control, and then in turn allowing, and then we're making ourselves selfish because we're exhibiting that onto somebody else, which they might not even be thinking that.
Yes,
But
exactly.
yeah, how I know this is because you're pinpointing me. you know?
Oh, okay. You're vibing with it,
Yes,
right?
yeah, exactly, yeah. Because I'm always trying to perceive what people are thinking about me.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
yes.
and then the other day, quick example, somebody was kind of being an asshole about being on the podcast, and I kind of didn't know if I wanted them on or not or whatever. And then they kind of made like a stupid move on an email. They were going back and forth, and then he kind of attacked me, and so I had to sit there and like go over. Like I got angry, my face got red. I was just like, I take it very personal.
Yes.
When somebody doesn't, but it's not that I wasn't angry at what they were saying. It's because they didn't like me.
Yes.
That's why it was like, I can't handle rejection well.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge, especially that 9. It's a thing
Right.
for the 9, but then the 369 is very much that way. So 369, I don't know if you're familiar with Nikola Tesla
Yes,
and his
yeah.
work and how he was all obsessed with 369. And he said that was he made a triangle out of it. And he said that's the perfect energy flow, like the most energetic type of thing. And apparently he used it in his technology, the power and the frequencies of the 369.
Right.
So it's a very, very, very strong energetic field. It's very strong. It's very powerful. So the thing about it too is like working with these numbers, a lot of things will fall into place and things will work out for you. And so it's like the times that they don't, it's like, and then it
Right.
becomes bigger.
I get
it's a bigger
extremely
deal.
lucky.
Lucky.
Yeah. I don't know if you. I mean, I work really hard, so
Sure.
but things just kind of fall in place. I've always, like you just said.
Yep.
So,
That works with that.
Well, you said there's a big energy with 369.
Yes.
Is there a big energy with the people that have the 369? Number.
Well, it's your energy field. And
Right.
a lot of times what people will do, like that guy that was messing with you in the email,
Right.
And a lot of this stuff runs on a subconscious level, but what they'll do is they'll try to like come at you a little bit in order to suck some of that energy from you.
That makes sense. Yes.
So it's like very prone to vampires, like energetic vampires type of a
I've heard
thing.
that, right.
But the thing is once you like work on this stuff enough, then you have a big enough shield.
So dating girls that need to be fixed. That's the same thing.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Yeah, because it's always like I've tried to break the pattern, but it's always that process of me. I like a student. So if I date younger girls that have issues, you see what I'm saying?
You can teach them.
Then I can teach them. Yeah, but then I'm setting myself on a pinnacle. You know what I mean? And so not allowing myself to learn from them. Also, I'm almost like searching people with low energy. You know what I mean?
And they're searching for you too.
Yes, that's the truth. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
So something to keep an eye out for.
Yes, yeah.
Right. And then the last thing I'll say about the 369, and I know this from experience too, is that with that strong energy field, what you put in your body is really important. So some people can eat whatever they want and it doesn't affect them, or drink whatever they want and all this. For these numbers, it's really important like to find the foods that make you feel good and stick to those. And then also it's a lot of energy, like what we're saying. And so it's really important to have a physical release. And specifically with these numbers too, and I'm not a fitness professional, but the thing is, what I would recommend for someone working these numbers is to do a daily exercise as much as possible. You can take a day or two
I've been
off,
doing that.
Do
I
a
just
daily
started that.
exercise. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be long. It could be 10, 15 minutes, but this is really important to get that energy flowing,
Oh, that
because
makes
if
sense.
it doesn't flow, it can get stuck. And then that's when the downward spirals are more likely to
depression.
happen. The depression or the anxiety or anything like that.
Guilt,
The guilt. Yeah.
all those things.
So
yeah.
if you could take 10 minutes a day to just elevate your heart rate, I recommend it.
Yeah. No, that I've been working on that for the past 6 months.
Perfect.
I've been working out every day. So
Perfect.
so that's been, and I went to a dietitian and everything, and been working on my foods because I've noticed that, if I eat any type of garbage food, I feel shitty, like mentally.
Yes.
Not so much physically, but the mental part, and I noticed that was helping me. The cleaner I eat, the less depression I have.
See?
So that this is right on.
It's very much, it's super key for you.
Yes.
And me. I feel you on that. Okay, so before we start cards, I want to talk about one last number.
Okay.
And that's your attitude number. And so this is the energy. I love the attitude number. Is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
So this is the energy that you project when you're interacting with other people. Okay. So you're working the 7. The 7, it's a paradox, because it very much so, because it's a very, very sharp mind. It's very much being able to wrap your mind around things and make sense of it, like tackle it with the mind. At the same time, it also happens to be the most spiritual number. Jesus, 777.
Right.
The chakras of the body, there are 7. You can go on and on in metaphysics about how spiritual the number 7 is, right?
Right.
So really with the 7 that you're working is oftentimes can be a battle between your mind and your heart. So it's really important to be able to study things and wrap your head around spiritual teachings, very much so, and then to get to a point to be able to trust and let go, and then to have the faith.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
So the thing with especially in this position, because we're talking interacting with people, right?
Right.
So the 7, it's really important for you, like the conversations we're having right now. It's spiritual, it's metaphysical, but you like, when I was doing my interview with Alex, I noticed that you like to dig deeper into things. Oh, let's talk about that for 1 second.
Yes,
That's the 7 coming through because it really wants to understand. And then, but at some point, you also have to just let go and let God and just totally like let your heart open more. So the big thing with the 7 is the key phrase is trust through openness. So it's about trusting yourself and trusting your feelings and your thoughts and emotions.
So trusting myself first and then others.
And then being able to open up about it with others.
Because I have an issue with that.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially...
I don't trust very easily. And I usually keep people at a distance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I'm very emotional. I'm like very, but I have very few friends and very few people I hang out with.
Yeah. Well, with the 7 in general, it's like that energy it's not, it's kind of in opposite sides of the spectrums of your 9, how we were saying it's very charismatic.
Right.
But the 7 has to feel, it takes a while for them to feel comfortable. And more specifically with the attitude number, like you're saying, it takes you a while to feel comfortable with other people.
Right.
So that's okay. Like and enjoy that and let yourself. It's really coming from a mindfulness arena. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Actually, I think that's really good.
I like the trust part though. Like trusting my heart whenever like you're saying, like the heart in the sense of whenever I'm feeling something, like I should. If it makes sense to me, I should go in that direction.
Yeah, it's like balancing the mind and the heart, and not letting the mind always win. Not letting the mind become a shield.
Because I was fixing to say that my mind is the safety part.
Right there, you go, right there.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and and also too, because when you're doing numbers, intuitive stuff can come through too, which is really cool because it helps to ground. Like, so we're already flowing the conversation. Now stuff can really start coming through, and past life stuff is already coming through too. But with the 7 for you is really cool about being able, like what you're doing right now and what we're doing and what you do with your podcast and how you connect with people. And you also too aren't afraid to open up about certain spiritual stuff that some people might think as, it's just hooey. And all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's really cool that you're exercising that and you're diving into that. And I just recommend for you to keep going with that.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, thank you.
It's perfect for you. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, this makes 100% sense. It all is lining up with everything. So
yeah, it's really cool, right?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I love it.
And I can send you something to I have a packet that kind of teaches you how to do it and has some examples and stuff. So I'll email it to you.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So now we're getting into cards.
So now we're going to do some past lives. The best part. So it's funny too because the night before I do readings, I'll get dreams too. So like I was getting some dreams in regards to this.
I had a bunch of weird dreams last night too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it was interesting. A lot of nightmares.
Really?
Yeah. Last night. Yeah. So it was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I woke up like 3 times. I got really tired really early.
Really?
Yeah. And so I ended up sleeping like 9 hours, which I don't normally do. Oh. And then through that whole process was just dreaming.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
A lot of dark and negative stuff.
Priming. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So we'll see what comes up. I have some ideas, but why don't we go ahead and start with some cards?
Okay. So I just need to pick one?
Yeah. Pick a card, any card.
There we go.
All right. So the first card we have Celtic.
Cool. Celtic.
So you have past lives in Ireland / Northern Europe.
Right.
So also is
my 23andMe is that.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Like
So your lineage goes
I'm
back
like
that
so
far.
white.
Oh yeah.
I'm like 99.9% white.
Oh, nice. There you go. That
From
Celtic.
Northern Europe.
From Northern Europe. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. I'm 89% actually.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. What I'm getting to is, are you familiar with the Druids and the
Yes.
Druidic culture?
Right.
Do you have any sort of connection with that at all?
No, I mean, I've had dreams about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with like, I mean, have that typical look, and then they have the runes or whatever.
The runes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, so you were a very spiritual person, a spiritual leader in...
Oh, that's cool.
It's like, I would give a time period around like 13 to 1500s in that range. So yeah, and you traveled all around. You helped with all the different ceremonies that were going on, and they have a lot of. I'm not familiar with very many of them, but I know that they had certain ceremonies that they would go and the Druids. They would, especially the leaders, spiritual leaders, they would travel from town to town and do the different ceremonies and do all that. So you did a lot of traveling with that.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that's also too like where that 7 attitude, that sharing that spiritual stuff that we were talking about and opening up your heart and being able to let that stuff flow. That's very much affected by that life as the Druid and being someone that would connect with other people in spiritual ways and also help them to make sense of the certain practices and being very mindful and being very detail oriented about the specific practices and like the runes and all that type of stuff. So also too, if you wanted to like pick up a rune set and play around with it, I would recommend for you to do
I'll
that.
have to do that. I'll get that.
Kinda neat.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. We have some at the store right now that I work at actually.
Shout out to your store.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So High Vibe Crystals in Albuquerque. It's super awesome. And the online store is really beefing up. We have a lot of really great crystals at such good prices. I can't believe the prices we can give the crystals at. It's just amazing.
That's awesome. And they can come see you.
Oh, yeah. Come see me and we can do readings or I can give you crystal recommendations. And it's cool. Some of the rune sets we have right now, we have like some bone. They're made of like animal bone. And we also have ones that are made of crystals.
Oh,
too,
that's cool. Yeah,
which you don't see that very often.
Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, I'll have to come in and get some animal bone ones because that just for some reason
did it connect with you. That's the
yeah.
more traditional version. So probably in your life back in back in Northern Europe then you had the bone kind.
One, yeah, probably. Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, cool. So why don't we do another one?
Okay,
Gonna do 6 total.
6 total.
Yes. All right, wars and battles. So
that one I figured.
Yes, yeah, we figured this one was gonna pop up a little bit, right?
Yes.
And what's interesting, before I shuffled, that was on the bottom, and I kind of flashed it to you,
right?
This card, and so then I shuffled it, and then you picked it, and
that's wild,
right?
Yeah.
So, definitely one of the dreams that I had last night too, and it was connection with you was military leader,
right?
And it's been all over the place. So it's like we're talking back when ancient Atlantis and ancient Lemuria they lived in peace for a really long time, but then the Atlanteans went on a campaign and they wanted to go ahead and like harness the energy of the whole earth, and the Lemurians were like, no, you can't do that, like we're vibing out over here. So then there was a big war. And so the thing about it is I'm getting with you is a lot of your attachments with the military stem from that war. That was really that was the first great war of the earth, really, between conflicting groups of people on it. And what that does is that creates this karmic connection that then we're all like working through. So with that is the Atlanteans, they had the crystal technology. So they were able to just like wipe out like big groups of people.
Right.
And it's, so on a soul level, you were on that side. And so on a soul level, you are working through that karma, and then also like learning just all the different facets there are to learn from wars and battles, and even from the civilian side too. So it's like I was also getting, so you also, this is going to be kind of fun for you.
Right.
You were a Native American woman actually here
that's crazy.
In New Mexico, Texas type of an area in this land.
Right.
So it's really interesting. On a soul level, we'll come to certain geographical locations to connect and vibe and to help to clear a lot of that karma. And the thing is you were very much persecuted. As that Native American one, you were very spiritual. So we're talking Celtic spiritual leader, and you were great and very influential in that way. And then on the Native American side, you were very spiritual, like a medicine woman type of a thing.
Right.
But then opposing forces coming in and killing you, basically, because it didn't line up with, it's like the Inquisition thing. So like what we're dealing with here in this land is a lot of that Catholic coming in and combating that native culture.
Right.
So for you, it's really important for you to be here. It's really interesting that you're living here in Albuquerque, because there is that connection with the native and the native spirituality.
Yeah, it's so funny. The other day I was podcasting with Alex on the business side of things, and I brought up an unusual story, and he's like, "Why are you bringing this up?" So here's what I brought up. This is going to be really cool.
Okay.
So because I had found this when I was living in Seattle. In Seattle, they have 28 Indian tribes.
Oh.
And the Catholic Church came in, when they brought their missionaries in or whatever, and they started making the Indians, they were converting them or whatever, and then making them tear down their totem poles. Those beautiful pieces of artwork, that have the orca on there or whatever,
The spirit totems, right?
Yeah. But what they found out is a lot of them are family history oriented. Oh. So, it was like events that happened in their life or whatever. So a lot of them they tore down for no reason. But it was interesting how I just brought that up randomly in a podcast about persecution with the Catholics.
It affected you,
Indian,
right?
yeah.
It's like, there's some stuff.
So there was something there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Oh yeah, that's super interesting. And why, and that's also for the 9, the life path 9, and you also have 9 in another position, it's very much bringing in that persecution from those past lives. And it's about clearing that energy and forgiving. It's really important for you specifically, and anyone working with the 9s, is really just, as these things come up and you feel when injustices around you are happening or people are acting a fool, it's really important to work on acceptance and forgiveness for them in this, and just the situation in general. Because the thing is, when you're working this old soul energy and you're bringing all this wisdom and lessons in from past lives, is that you have to remember to keep in mind that on a soul level, you are at a more advanced state, and it's not better or worse. It's like the difference between like 10th graders and 7th graders. It's like the 7th graders aren't idiots. They're just they haven't progressed and gotten to the point where where the 10th graders are. So for you, it's really important for you to keep in mind that you are bringing in all these lessons from past lives, and to let the people make their own mistakes, even though you know that they're creating karma that they're going to have to pay for in a very intense way because you've been there. But it's really important for you to be able to help people, but then also to, at some point, let them make their own mistakes.
I not be so intuitive and then insert my will instead of letting them have their own.
Because you probably will know.
Because I can see.
You'll see, you know what's going to happen, but hey, it's important for them to learn those lessons.
Yeah, that's very important for me. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And then also too, one last thing about the Wars and Battles card is the American Civil War. Do you have a connection with that at all?
Yeah, my family is all from the South.
Yeah.
So Georgia,
South side.
Florida. Yeah.
So you fought in the war. Interestingly enough.
Cool,
yeah. So that's even though you didn't necessarily agree with the politics, is that you were fighting for your family. So there might be some like guilt that you're bringing in about that too, in regards to like slavery and that whole history of America. So just try to go easy on yourself.
Alex and I talked about this.
Did you really?
Yeah, we talked about this really heavily
a
while back because African Americans I get along with probably. So this is the whole thing here. And so I was like, why are a lot of my friends African Americans? Why do I date a lot of African American women? What is why is that?
Yeah.
And then I had a dream we had talked about it, and he was thinking about it, and we just talking to each other, and it was like plantation and all that stuff.
Yes, plantation, exactly.
Yeah. And then, and so I have more of a feel for that, like I can feel pain in that arena, like I watched the Django movie, which is an amazing movie with what's his name? The director, I'm talking about Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. And that's one of my favorite movies because they're that dentist, the guy that came in and helped, and was even willing to give his life, that was like such a huge, maybe because maybe in my past lives I was persecuted so much. So then when I saw this, I saw that, so
also you were, even in that life, you were feeling for them, and yet you went to war to fight to keep it that way.
Right.
It can,
it's like a dichotomy.
Yeah. It can create some trauma.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's do another card.
That's cool.
Trauma's cool.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got here? Trust and faith. Yep. So so you have a lot of energies around you that are supporting you and are supporting your growth. And it's like what we were saying, trust and faith is with that 7 we were talking about in spirituality. It's about being able to understand things, but then at some point letting go and trusting and having faith. So it's really important for you to tap into those, the very spiritual type of things, and know that you're very supported. It's just it's an extra affirmation for you that from the other side, from the spirit realm, that they're really supporting you and encouraging you to keep up with your spiritual teachings. And the more that you become well-versed in that, and the more that you're able to understand teachings, is you're going to be able to share that with other people and really connect with people in a powerful way. The thing about 7s is that I've noticed is that most of them have very strong, powerful voice boxes, like their vocal cords are very strong, and so like when they speak or when they present something, people really listen. People really pay attention. This is something I've never read in any book or anything like that. It's just something I've noticed throughout my life, is that people working that 7 energy have a very impactful way of connecting with people. So know that and trust that and keep it up. And then also too is the Orion system. Do you have any sort of like connection with the Orion star system or the Sirius star system? Have you heard about those?
Yeah, I've heard about them. I had read the teachings of Ra.
Okay.
The Orion, they talked a lot about that.
The Orion Confederation.
Every time they talked about it, I was interested in it.
Yeah. I'm getting that from you big time. So it's like, there's a term starseed that people use. And to be honest with you, my opinion, everybody on the earth is a starseed, because we're souls coming down to learn lessons and to grow and help the planet grow. We're all doing it. But it's just a hot phrase, the starseed thing. So like and it'll be like Pleiadian starseed or the Sirian starseed. For you, I would look into the Orion qualities of like a soul that's very experienced from the Orion system, and also to Sirius, like where the star Sirius is, the closest one to us.
Right.
Both of those, I'm getting on a soul level. You have like connections with those. So I would Google it, look up more.
Yeah, I'll study more, because luckily I have this recorded.
Oh, there we go. All right, let's do another
this
card.
Is good. Yeah. So.
Okay. Unrequited love. So you've died from a broken heart. I'm just going to say it. So you've definitely died from a broken heart. And what this is what this is doing, and it's coming right after the trust and the faith card too. So it's important in my readings, I look at
this is so right on
the order of things.
I know where you're going.
You see me stepping towards it there.
Yep.
That, so it's basically, there's a block in your heart energy and your heart chakra for connecting with someone on a really deep level. And that's based off of, in past lives, that the trauma word, the T word, is that you're working on letting go of that trauma and being able to open up your heart and not feel like once you do that, you're just going to be heartbroken.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's like 110%.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So maybe that might help you though. It's like, for me, honestly, when I start understanding these things from a past life perspective is it takes some of the mystery out of it, and then it helps me then to do something about it, to then do an affirmation, or for me, I work a lot with the archangels. I'll tap into the archangel that, might help me with opening my heart, for instance. So it's just, what it does is it's giving you a little bit more information to dig deeper and to work on yourself more for healing.
Yeah, I think, like understanding what love is, that's what I've been really studying, especially the last, I've been single for a long time. So I've studied that a lot, and then like what our ego thinks love is and all that.
Yeah.
And then trust with that. So that was interesting. Those are two things I've been, and then, why I feel like I can't love, you know what I mean? So maybe before I can truly love, I need to work through this trauma, maybe.
It'll help.
Yeah.
It's not like I wouldn't say it's a must. Like you're not going to fall in love until you work clear your past life.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like that. It's just,
because people fall in love with me, but I have a hard time falling in love with them.
You don't want to get burned like you did in past lives.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So always keep distance. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's
well, let's do another card.
There was one back here.
Biblical. Yeah. So this card means that you were around during the times of Jesus and when the Bible was being written and all that type of stuff. Specifically, we're talking Jesus here, the Jesus times and his followers. And so, I'm just remembering something from when you told me at the last interview, you said you've been really into Jesus's or you were very much
no, I studied it.
In Jesus's teachings.
Yeah, I was a pastor for a while.
Oh, right. You were a pastor. That's right.
Then I got out of it and all that. So when I just picked that biblical card, I was like, okay, here we go. Right? Well, this is right on.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is that then the Bible that we're given today here in America has been translated and worked around and all this kind of stuff. So on a soul level, as that certain things that are presented in certain ways, like as coming from the Bible or coming from Jesus or coming from other big leaders from back in the day, is that that it's being twisted a little bit.
Yes.
And that it's not fully what they meant by that.
Yeah.
So that helps to give you a little bit of insight on where
I feel like that
from.
is one of my callings to make sure that twistiness gets, I want to, whether I have a business podcast or Alex and I do the spiritual podcast that we do, that's always been my thing, is like, you can accept all these teachings and it's so cool that, people were able to give that, but dogma, religion, all of that comes into play where it's, so it becomes almost ruthless. People die from it.
Yes.
So
dangerous. Can be dangerous, right?
So that's one of the things. It's like, how can you stop people from thinking that far?
Yeah.
Where they can become more self-aware and stop that. That's always been something I've really been interested in.
Yeah. Well, your soul's on that path. And like we've been talking about this whole time with that 7 in the attitude is sharing about spiritual teachings and spirituality. Well, on a soul level, you're bringing in the truer to form teachings of what that was really about. So, keep it up, it's like, keep up the good work and keep spreading it. And also just you being you, like you lead by example.
The integrity
That's through honesty.
That's a big word that I need to work on more.
Yeah. You'll feel better about yourself. And then you'll feel like you're being more of that influence, even though you already are. Like you won't even realize it. It's a subconscious. It's a lot of it runs subconscious, but you really are a very powerful influence for the people around you.
That's cool.
So pat yourself on the back a little bit about that. All right. We'll take the last card here.
Oh, I just saw one.
Farm. Greg's freaking out over there. He knew it was going to be the farm, I guess. Yeah.
So we got to introduce your boyfriends here.
Oh yeah. My boyfriend Greg is here, and he's freaking out in the corner because he knew farm was coming up. Okay, so this card is working on 2 levels right now. So one of them is being on a farm, being self-sustainable, self-sustained, everything a farm entails is you have history in that.
Yes.
Working with the animals.
I'm drawn to that.
Being outside, you are. Yeah. That's one thing about the 7 we didn't talk about is it's really important for the 7 energy when you're feeling stressed or unbalanced and all this kind of stuff is to go outside. There's something very spiritual about nature just naturally. And there's something about the beauty of it and everything that just takes the stress right out of that 7 energy. So
yeah, when I'm on a farm,
specifically.
Specifically when I'm on a farm, I feel the most energetic.
Wow. That's awesome.
So wild. Yeah.
That is really cool.
I feel like very peaceful. Like it like, like takes everything out of my head.
Yes.
All that.
Yeah. Well, you have past lives doing the farm.
Right.
And also that's encouraging you to go outside more. Like whenever you're feeling stressed or, we live in a very beautiful natural place.
Right.
So it's encouraging you to go out more. And then also too, on the card, there are 2 horses. And what I'm getting is that you have your spirit guides are very strong with you. And they're even more so like as the days go on, they're able to come through and connect with you even stronger. So any types of prayers you can do or connections with your higher self and your spirit guides is really gonna it's gonna pay back dividends. In connecting more with them, and it's like these dreams that you're having, these are your guides coming through and giving you messages. So besides just going outside more, and anytime you can, like if you take a vacation, go out to like a ranch or a farm, this type of a place is really good for you, and it's a very positive experience that you've had in past lives in those locations. And there was no war, there was no conflict, there was no slavery. It was you, the land, the animals, your family.
Right.
It was simple. So it's also a call to the more simpler things in life, and maybe also too, because we're at the top of the pyramid with this card, is that maybe as you're looking ahead and moving forward, you might want to look into getting some land for yourself, somewhere that's a little bit more.
Yeah, that's my whole intention when I'm older.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, you're supported in that. There you go.
Yeah, that's perfect. Question real quick on these. Where does fear play in all of those? Because I see I don't know, it's like I'm like flushed now.
Yeah.
And there was something about like each card had fear in it.
Right.
Is it because each of those there was like something bad had happened in previous lives, or
no, not necessarily. It's like I think this is it occurs a lot for people, and honestly too with men a lot. I see in readings. It's like a fear of feeling. It's to let those feelings to really just let yourself feel is not something that we're so encouraged to do.
No, because of these cards, a lot of these are opposite of, I could look at it and be like wars and battles, Celtic,
right, like dope.
Yeah, I got
like
screwed over on love. I'm a Bible scholar and I love to live on a farm. You know what I mean?
Right,
I could look at it that way. But when I see the cards, I see an underlying of fear there. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know what that's there.
Yeah, well, I think
something I need to work on.
I think each one of our feelings is our friend and messenger.
Right.
And so I think it's really important to pay attention to that. I think that's a sign. It's a signal to you to that there's something to this. It's not just a bunch of hooey or just coincidences, synchronicities. Or anything like that.
I'm convinced these cards are nailed me like right on.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't do the foundation card, which I'll throw in is the Greco-Roman.
Right.
So it's very much having to do with Rome. I'm getting Rome big time, and like the gladiator and the what are those? What were they called? The legionnaires type of a thing.
Right.
That culture is very much too coming in for you. So
that would probably go with the wars and battle part.
Yeah.
Same.
In general, but yeah, it was like the Roman culture also too. If you want to study or look into that, you have a big connection with that too.
Yeah, I do. I study.
Do you really? Yeah. Oh, you study it all the time. Well, very cool.
Yeah, this is so interesting. Yesterday I was with my tattoo artist working on my back, and I told him I want my left leg to be Celtic.
Oh, no.
That's what I had
Yesterday
told
you
him
said that?
yesterday.
No
Yep.
kidding.
Yep.
Okay, well, then I'm going to say too is go ahead and do it. Like that's a sign from
exactly,
spirit.
yeah.
It's like, dope, do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the whole druid thing we talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So I have to put some druid stuff on me.
Yeah. Well, that was
fun.
such an interesting reading.
No, I love it. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you're
So how can everyone, if they want to get a reading like this, because I know you do readings, and do you do them just at the shop or?
No. I do them on Zoom. I'll meet people around, but if like people aren't in Albuquerque, I'm happy
Right.
to do, Zoom or FaceTime. I did one yesterday, FaceTime. And
that's
I
awesome.
don't any sort of which way that we can communicate, we can do a reading.
And is it like DMing you on Instagram's the best way?
Yeah, that's the best way right now. Is at the CrystalGuy 23.
Okay.
And I have some information on there about it, and it says DM me for a reading.
So I encourage everybody to do that. And I'll put the Instagram link and all that in the show notes and stuff like
Awesome.
that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share.
And go to abqpodcast.com.
Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.